Hi friends, here in this video lecture we will discuss about exchange of gases. In previous video lecture we already discussed a very important topic of this chapter, breathing and exchange of gases, that was about pulmonary or respiratory volumes as well as capacities. So that is very important, so you have to check that one. Now here about exchange of gases. So what is exchange of gases? Here simply in this we are going to discuss exchange about O2 and CO2, oxygen and carbon dioxide. These are the gases which are present in atmosphere, and oxygen usually inhaled or taken in by the organism which are aerobic in nature, and during metabolic oxidation of food there will be release of carbon dioxide. So we have to discuss exchange of gases in these two respects. So first, if we discuss what is the primary site of gaseous exchange in human body, because the chapter is under human physiology. So in human body, alveoli, that is also known as functional unit of lungs, these are the primary site for gaseous exchange. Second site, this is about the cell membrane of every and each cell. Here this gaseous exchange also taking place in between alveoli as well as blood. The second one is in between body cells and blood. Now this gaseous exchange always occurs by the principle of simple diffusion. So this is very important. Now what are the factors that we have to discuss about diffusion? Before that, diffusion always will move. During diffusion the substances will always move from high concentration to lower concentration. Diffusion occurs for all the phases of matter, solid, liquid and gas, but in gaseous diffusion is maximum, while in solid diffusion is minimum. This is just because of intermolecular forces or space in between solid molecules. Just for example, here these are two solid molecules, there is no intercellular space or negligible intercellular space. Why? This is because of intermolecular or intercellular force. So if we discuss about gaseous, so here there is huge distance in between, and this is because of least intermolecular forces. That's why diffusion is comparatively easy. So what are the factors that affects the process of diffusion? These are given here about the points. So first, concentration as well as pressure gradient. So when concentration of a particular substance or pressure because of their concentration increases, then diffusion will also increase, and this is always from high to low concentration. High to low concentration of the same gaseous substance. If we are talking about oxygen, so oxygen will move from high to low concentration. Same carbon dioxide will move from high to low concentration. So this is for the same gas, not we have to mix two or more than two gases here. Second thing about the mass of molecules. So heavier the mass, then slower will be the diffusion. More heavy particles, they will move slowly, that's why their diffusion will also becomes slower. Third point, temperature. So when temperature rises or there is increase in temperature, with increase in temperature intermolecular space will increase, and that's why there will be more diffusion. Now fourth, density. So if density is high, then there will be less diffusion. Here we discuss in between solid molecules, they are very close, they are very dense, that's why diffusion is slow, while in gaseous molecules they have huge distance in between, That's why diffusion is comparatively faster. Next is about solubility. So if substances are soluble in the respective solvent, then their diffusion will be faster. Less solubility, less diffusion. Here one thing that is very important given in NCERT for oxygen and carbon dioxide solubility. So carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times more soluble in water with respect to oxygen. That's why here the molecular weight of carbon dioxide is more with respect to oxygen. What is oxygen? This is O2. But here in CO2 there is also molecular weight of carbon. But still here we discuss mass of molecules. So carbon dioxide is comparatively heavier with respect to oxygen. But because of their respective solubility, that is 20 to 25 times more with respect to oxygen, carbon dioxide is more diffusible. Next, surface area. So if surface area is more, then there will be more space for gaseous exchange. So by increasing surface area, gaseous exchange or diffusion will be increases. Next, distance. So more distance, there will be less diffusion. If distance is less, then diffusion will be comparatively fast and easy. The last one is about thickness. So just for example, suppose here if this is the surface area that is thick with respect to this, if this is surface area that is thin, and substance have to move across this. So because of this thin surface area, substances or gaseous molecules will move easily if this allow the gaseous exchange. Here this one is thick, that's why the diffusion or gaseous exchange will become very slow. So these are all factors that are responsible for gaseous diffusion. So as we discussed about gaseous exchange in human body, alveoli, these are the primary site of gaseous exchange. So here mainly inside the body, gaseous exchange will depend on pressure or concentration gradient. More concentration will create more pressure, and that's why there will be diffusion from high concentration to low concentration. This is about the exchange of air. So if we discuss about air, so air is a mixture of gases. Air is a mixture of gases. There are so many gaseous substances. If we discuss about the major composition, so here in air, nitrogen is nearly 79%, while oxygen is nearly 21%. This is roughly 21%, 20.89 something, and then carbon dioxide, this is present, and then carbon dioxide, this is present along with rest of the gaseous substance like sulfur dioxide, like carbon monoxide, like water vapor, dust particles. They all are present in 1%, and here carbon dioxide concentration is 0.04%. So here you can say this is 79 plus 21, 100, but exactly nitrogen is not 79%, this is less than 79, but we just taken roughly as 79. Oxygen is not also exactly 21%, this is roughly 20.8 something. So there will be space or scope for 1%. So in that 1% there is rest of the gases, in which carbon dioxide is also 1. So percentage of carbon dioxide is just 0.04%. So in atmosphere there is a pressure that is known as atmospheric pressure. This is known as atmospheric pressure. And what is atmospheric pressure? This is the sum of all these gaseous pressure. This is the sum of all these gaseous pressure. So we can also find out the pressure of individual gas. There is a term that you have to memorize, is partial pressure. Partial pressure. So what is partial pressure? This is the pressure created by individual gas in the mixture of gases or air, that pressure is known as partial pressure. So what is atmospheric pressure? We discussed earlier, this is 760 mm of mercury. 760 mm of mercury. This is atmospheric pressure. And in this atmospheric pressure, there is contribution of each gas. So contribution is according to their quantity or concentration. So we have to calculate the partial pressure of oxygen, partial pressure of carbon dioxide and partial pressure of nitrogen, because gases will move from high pressure to low pressure. The region where they are in more quantity, they will move towards the region where they are in low quantity. So for this we have to calculate partial pressure. So how partial pressure of each gas can be counted or can be calculated? So just we discuss, atmospheric pressure is 760 mmHg. So if just we are trying to calculate atmospheric pressure of nitrogen, so nitrogen is 79%, this is 79 into 100, and atmospheric pressure is 760 mmHg. So we can calculate this will be roughly or near about 600 mmHg. So this is out of 760. Same, this is about partial pressure of nitrogen. So partial pressure is just indicated like this, P and 2, P for partial pressure. Same, partial pressure of oxygen. So this will be here 21%. So 21 divided by 100 into 760. So this will be roughly, again, what is given in NCERT, this is 159 mmHg. And on the same basis, when we calculate the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, so its partial pressure, this is PCO2, will be 0.3 mmHg. 0.3 mmHg. So from here, now we know the partial pressure of individual gas. For partial pressure of nitrogen, this is nearly 600. For oxygen, this is nearly 159 mmHg. For carbon dioxide, this is 0.3 mmHg. Now, the table which is given in NCERT, the partial pressure of various gases at various sites in our body. So the table is just before you. Here you can see the partial pressure of respiratory gases, only about carbon dioxide and oxygen. So first is about partial pressure in atmospheric air of oxygen. What we calculated is 159 mmHg. Then in alveoli, this is given 104 mmHg. In deoxygenated blood, 40 mmHg. In oxygenated blood, 95 mmHg. And in tissues, this is 40 mmHg. Carbon dioxide, atmospheric pressure 0.3% as we calculated. In alveoli 40 mmHg, deoxygenated blood, this will be high, so 45 mmHg, oxygenated blood 40 mmHg, and in tissues 45 mmHg. So all these values are calculated. These are measured by taking the sample of blood from the respective site of body. Now about the diagram that is given in NCERT for gaseous exchange in various body parts. So here in this diagram you can see this is alveolus, a single functional unit of lung. This is alveolus, the plural is alveoli. So this is alveolus. We discussed alveoli, they are appearing like bunch of grapes inside the lungs, and we also discussed about the number. So in both lungs, this is nearly 300 million. In both lungs, the number of alveoli is nearly 300 million, and the surface area is 80 meter square. When we just open every and each alveoli on a flat surface, then they will cover a surface area of 80 meter square. With respect to this, what is the surface area of our body? That we discuss 1.6 to 1.8 meter square, and this value is variable with respect to body size of an individual person. So here this is alveoli, and around alveoli inside the lungs, here this is blood capillary that is present in between the pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. So what is blood capillary? If we discuss, this is aorta, largest artery in our body. This aorta further branched and converted into a number of artery. This artery further branched and converted into arteriole. This arteriole further branched and converted into capillary or capillaries, we can say. These capillary now unite, and then they will form here venule. These venule further they will unite to form vein, and these vein further will unite to form vena cava. So there are two vena cava, inferior and superior. These both are the largest veins in our body. This is the largest vein, and this is the largest artery in our body. So capillaries, these are network of blood vessels, or we can better say finest network of blood vessels. Finest network of blood vessels. And what we discussed earlier about alveoli, they are densely vascularized in nature, means here they are very dense with respect to rest of the body parts for blood vessels. Otherwise gaseous exchange will be tough. So here this is about capillary. Now this is heart, here the right part and the left part. Human heart is 4 chambered, so right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. The upper 2 chambers are auricle or atria, lower 2 are ventricles. Now here this is the body, this is the cells or the tissue which are present in various body parts. So if we started here from this side, from the side of body cells or tissues, inside body the metabolic reactions, like this is glucose plus oxygen 6O2, then in presence of a number of enzymes there will be processing, and after the processing this is carbon dioxide plus metabolic water and huge amount of energy that is temporarily stored in form of ATP. The maximum one is 38 ATP. So inside the cells carbon dioxide is gradually produces. So here inside the cells the concentration of carbon dioxide, or better we can say the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, is very high with respect to partial pressure of carbon dioxide which is present in blood. So inside blood the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is comparatively low with respect to body cells. That's why carbon dioxide will move from high to low concentration. So this high concentration of CO2 is present inside the cells, and this low concentration is present inside the blood or blood capillaries. So carbon dioxide is getting mixed inside the blood. Now the blood will become deoxygenated. So when we are saying deoxygenated blood, it means this is not about no oxygen in blood. It means there is comparatively low oxygen in blood with respect to the oxygenated blood. Here we are discussing only about oxygenated, not about carboxygenated. Why? Because oxygen is of benefit. Oxygen is needed for us. That's why we are talking about that. So here carbon dioxide is rich in this systemic vein. Systemic veins are the veins which are carrying blood from body to heart. Now in right atrium blood will reach. From right atrium this reaches up to right ventricle. From right ventricle with the help of pulmonary artery this reaches in lungs, and lungs, here in lungs, now there is very high partial pressure of oxygen. Why partial pressure of oxygen is high? Because the inspired air carrying huge amount of oxygen. So what we earlier discussed here, in case of atmosphere, the partial pressure of oxygen, what we calculated here, PO2, this is 21%. So 21 by 100, atmospheric pressure is 760. So when we calculate this is 159 mmHg. 159 mmHg. So this is partial pressure of oxygen in atmosphere. So this inspired air carrying huge partial pressure. Now when this oxygen or when this air reaches into alveoli, then there will be diffusion. So alveoli, they already filled with deoxygenated air. They already filled with carbon dioxide enriched air. So there will be reduction of this partial pressure and this reaches up to 104 mmHg. In atmosphere, the partial pressure of oxygen is 159, and this is also the same in inspired air. But when inspired air reaches inside the lungs up to alveoli, so alveoli is already filled with the air that is carrying least oxygen or more carbon dioxide. So the partial pressure of oxygen reduces from 159 and reaches up to 104, while the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, what we calculated in atmosphere, this is 0.04%, then multiplied with 760, so this will be nearly 0.3 mmHg. So this is partial pressure of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. But when atmospheric air enters and reaches into alveoli, then what we discussed, already inside the alveoli there is carbon dioxide rich air. So partial pressure of carbon dioxide in alveoli rises and this reaches up to 40 mmHg. 40 mmHg. So both these values here, 104 mmHg for partial pressure of oxygen and 40 mmHg for partial pressure of carbon dioxide, they both are given here. With respect to this, if we discuss the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide in pulmonary artery or in systemic vein, so this is already calculated and given here. So what is measured, the value is 40 mmHg for partial pressure of oxygen, while 45 mmHg is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So here partial pressure of CO2 is 40, but here in pulmonary artery this is 45. This is 45 mmHg. So more partial pressure, less partial pressure, we can say more concentration, less concentration. So carbon dioxide is getting released from this blood capillary inside the alveoli. Same if we discuss here about oxygen, so partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli is 104, while here inside the blood capillaries this is just 40. This is 40 mmHg, while here this is 104 mmHg. So here in alveoli partial pressure of oxygen is very high, while here in blood capillaries this is very low. That's why oxygen will move from alveoli to blood capillaries, and now the blood will become oxygenated. There will be more oxygen in blood, so blood will become oxygenated, and this oxygenated blood with the help of pulmonary vein reaches into heart. So first this will enter here in the left atrium, then from left atrium this reaches into left ventricle, and from left ventricle this is here dorsal aorta. By dorsal aorta this reaches into various body parts. So dorsal aorta will divide into arteries, then arteries will divide into arteriole, and this arteriole further will divide into capillaries. So this is again here blood capillary, that is that is at cell level. These are blood capillaries. One thing that is very important, only these are blood capillaries from blood vessels which involve in any type of exchange, not only gaseous exchange but also exchange of any other substances like food material, like plasma, any kind of exchange. This will be only with the help of capillaries. Why? Because the capillary is made by a single layer of cell. That's why this is very thin, and this will allow exchanges, while arteries and veins, they are thick, and that's why they are not capable to involve in any such type of exchanges. So here, what will be partial pressure of O2 and CO2 in pulmonary veins? So here this is 104, and now when this reaches into blood, then the partial pressure decreases and this reaches up to 95 mmHg, that is given here. So partial pressure of oxygen, this will reaches up to 95 mmHg, while partial pressure of carbon dioxide, now there will be decrease because carbon dioxide already releases out from here. So there will be decrease in partial pressure of carbon dioxide from 45 to 40 mmHg, and again when they will reach up to cells, then there will be exchange. So because of removal of oxygen from here, blood capillaries to body cells, because inside cell oxygen is deficient. Why? Because oxygen is gradually participated in oxidation of food. So there will be supply of oxygen from blood to cells, and further there will be reduction in partial pressure. And same, carbon dioxide releases from cells to blood, so carbon dioxide partial pressure will rises here. So the value that is given in table earlier, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in atmosphere, this is 0.3 mmHg. The partial pressure of carbon dioxide in oxygenated blood, 40 mmHg. In deoxygenated blood, this will be 45 mmHg, and also at cell or tissue level, this will be same 45 mmHg. Now about partial pressure of oxygen. So in atmosphere we discussed, this is 159 mmHg. When this reaches into alveoli, then decreases and reaches up to 104 mmHg. When this reaches into pulmonary vein or systemic artery, then this again further decreases and reaches up to 95 mmHg. And when this reaches up to cell or systemic vein or pulmonary artery, at these sites, this will be now 40 mmHg. So all these values are very important, and usually there is a question from this in each competitive exam. So you have to be very careful for all these values, and you have to memorize this. Or here we also discuss about the concept how you can easily find out, especially in atmospheric. Here you don't have to calculate because this is already calculated. So one thing again that is very important, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein, these are the exceptional one, we can say. They are the only structures, means arteries are usually for conduction of oxygenated blood, but here this artery is carrying deoxygenated blood. Veins are for conduction of deoxygenated blood, but here pulmonary vein is carrying oxygenated blood. So again you have to focus on these 2 points. Now next thing that is given in NCERT is further given here about this diagram. So this is the same portion what is given here. This diagram is given here. So this is a alveoli and this is blood capillary. So in alveoli, here this is exchange of air, entry or exit of air, entry of oxygenated air, exit of deoxygenated or foul air. Now this is alveolar wall that is made by a single layer of cell, and this is known as squamous epithelial. squamous epithelium. So this is made by squamous epithelium, single layered. Now this alveolar wall is in direct contact with blood capillary. So this is the wall of blood capillary that is also very thin and single membranous. Its cell is known as, or covering is known as, endothelium. This is endothelium. So here this is endothelium, and what we discussed earlier, every and each epithelium is just growing over a membrane that is known as basement membrane. So here this is the basement membrane of squamous epithelium, and this is the basement membrane of endothelium or blood capillary. So this is basement membrane. In NCERT this is counted as single, means from both sides this is counted as single. So the total thickness of these three layers, this is a tri-layered structure. So question may be, how many layers are there at the site of gaseous exchange in the alveoli or in the lungs? So this is a tri-layered structure. Actually this is 5-layered, but in NCERT this is given a tri-layered structure. So what are the tri-layers? First is squamous epithelium of alveoli or alveolar membrane, second is basement membrane in between, and the third one is endothelium of blood capillary. So the total thickness of these three layers is very less than that of 1 millimeter. This is much less than that of 1 millimeter. And if we discuss the actual thickness, so this is 0.2 millimeter. 0.2 millimeter. So what we discussed earlier, the more thin surface area will involve in more gaseous exchange. So here all conditions are favorable for gaseous exchange in alveoli as well as in body cells. So this is here about the supply of deoxygenated blood through this capillary. When blood reaches up to alveoli, then there will be exchange. We earlier discussed here, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is more in pulmonary artery blood or systemic vein blood. That's why with respect to alveoli, that's why carbon dioxide is getting released out, and from here this will move out. This will move out, while oxygen is comparatively less with respect to alveolar air. This is 104 mmHg, while here this is just 40 mmHg. So there will be diffusion of O2 from alveoli to pulmonary vein, or this will be same in systemic artery, the artery which supply blood from heart to body cells. So this is how gaseous exchange taking place in the two sides of our body. The first or primary side that we discussed is alveoli, while the second side is every and each cell of our body. So thanks for the video. If you like this, then please share with your circle and stay connected, stay tuned for the most next recent coming videos. Thanks again.